had ready. Let's play this one here. Stephen Miller offers empathetic defense of Trump's immigration policies at a gaggle. Let's go.
I think I'm seeing you later this week, but yes, happy to
Stephen, Illinois Governor Pritzker just called for mass protests and disruption, saying Republicans cannot know peace, while Trump's border crossings are down 95% and ICE is locking up 800 criminals. Is Pritzker inciting insurrection, and will DOJ take action?
Well, what I would say is that his comments, if nothing else, clearly can be construed as inciting violence. So President Trump survived 2 assassination attempts against his life. Of course, there's been many more credible threats against President Trump and his family and associates. We've, of course, seen the spate of left-wing domestic terrorism all across this country. By the way, the destruction of property sits directly adjacent to attacks on humans and physical attacks. In other words, once you tolerate and once you allow for attacks on property, you're just a step away from people throwing Molotov cocktails into people's homes. And you've even seen some, I think one example of a formerly prominent Washington Post journalist who seemed to be celebrating the murder of a healthcare CEO, right? Health insurance CEO. And that's the point we've reached in this country, where people are engaging in rhetoric and behavior that puts the lives of public servants in danger, puts the lives of conservative Americans in danger. And so that's the first thing I would say. And then, of course, secondly, right, just this war that Democrat governors and mayors are waging against federal law enforcement. I mean, this is nullificationist behavior. This is successionist behavior. With this thing, they don't recognize the supremacy of federal law enforcement in terms of protecting the lives and livelihoods of American citizens against a foreign invasion. We've never seen anything like it. And of course, the result of their conduct is that they're allowing illegal aliens to go free and rape and murder their own citizens. So I can't imagine having a leader in a city or a state that would privilege the well-being of illegal alien murderers over their own citizens, but that's where we are right now.
Mr. Miller, I'd like to ask you about it's before Congress right now, the Religious Workforce Protection Act. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically Catholic leaders support it because they say it would help keep foreign-born priests at their local ministries in the United States. The problem right now is a 2023 change to U.S. visa rules caused a backlog, and long story short... I have
to take a look at that and get you a more complete answer. I'm not in a position to answer that right now. I apologize.
The bottom line is, can the administration do anything right now?
I'd have to take a look at that and give you a fully informed answer.
Stephen, the lawyer for the woman who had 2 U.S. citizen children who was deported, he said that once she was put on a plane within 24 hours after she was gone. Is this case being rushed to avoid the process?
To the cameras, please.
Are you familiar with the case in question?
To the extent that yes, I am. I'm sure you are.
So this person has had years of due process. In other words, the cases that you're referring to are individuals who have already received all of their due process, including a final adjudication of their claims and an order to be removed from the country. In other words, they've been in the system for years. We've been told for years that individuals who have been freed, so remember, the Biden administration freed illegal aliens at the border, and then instead created a system where they're supposed to go through what's called the non-detained docket. That's when your case is heard for relief while you are living free. We've been told for years and years and years, no, it's not catch and release. It's not catch and release. They're going to show up to get their hearings. They're going to show up to ICE. They're going to go through the process, and when they lose, they're going to go home. Well, we did the go home part. They lost the case. It's been fully adjudicated. They have a lawful removal order, and so they've been sent home. That's literally the process the previous guys told us and Congress, that Mayorkas told Congress was going to happen. That when you lose the case, you go home. If people who lose their cases get to stay, that's not due process. That's just the complete suspension of all of our immigration laws and national sovereignty. And of course, by the way, we're going to respect parental rights. When you're deporting an illegal alien and they want to bring their kids with them when they leave, of course we're not going to stand in the way of that. Now, I would say as a separate note, it's absurd as a country that we have a policy of declaring the children of illegal aliens to be automatic citizens. That doesn't even come up in this case because it's not relevant to the point that the mother wanted to bring her children with her. And of course we will honor and respect that.
Hey, Stephen, can I follow up on that?
Man, I love the way this guy operates. He always breaks things down. This is exactly the type of thing that Terry, the ABC anchor, interviewer, propagandist, I don't know, whatever you want to call him, this is exactly what he was talking about with Trump and trying to make the case that it's like, oh, where's the due process? It's like the process has already been done. Like, I know I've gone on about this already. The process is already done. That's a done process. And then people really have this notion in regards to what he was talking about where, well, it's like, oh, you're deporting children. It's like, no. The parents are, of course, taking their children because you can't just leave children in America and say you're citizens now. Have a good life. You can't do that. You just can't do that. You'd be putting them up for adoption, basically. You'd be putting them in a foster home if you did anything like that. And most parents can't stomach to do anything like that. So, of course, they're taking them. And the press is trying to reposition it in this way that now children are getting deported. It's so it's so crazy that they're allowed to just spin things like that. But somehow people like me, who do their content like this, we're seen as the one who can't, by them, we're positioned as the people who can't be trusted. But yet they're constantly spinning things, trying to make the public think certain things all the time. I'm not trying to make you think anything. Like I always talk about, I say, oh, I'm biased. And, if I talk about Joe Rogan, it's like I got a picture of Joe Rogan right here. I let you know exactly where I stand so you understand what you're hearing. They never do that. And they should actually have to. I'm not going to say anything like it should be against the law, but they should have to talk about it. The same way if you're state funded, you should have to say that you're state funded. You should have to say who pays your bills. You should have to do that. They never have to. It's pretty ridiculous. You got a pharmaceutical company backing your whole outlet. You should probably have to tell people that while you're talking about pharmaceuticals. Like, shouldn't you? Shouldn't you have to say, hey, just so you know, $1 billion a month comes from pharmaceutical companies. So you have to take what we say and understand that that's where we're coming from. We have incentive to say certain things. They should have to do. I know it sounds crazy, but I do it. I do it all the time. Nobody's paying me. Would love it if they were. Somebody out there. Only person who's ever wanted to pay me for my content was a Ukraine media company. Oh, man. I could have made a lot of money, too. I just ignored them, though. I was like, you obviously don't know who I am. Or maybe they were trying to turn me. They were trying to, like, switch me up because they saw I was posting all this. Not anti-Ukraine, because I'm not anti-Ukraine, but, you know. Anyway, I think I have to flip over to the Rogan content. I actually have to go to the washroom. So I'm going to play, like, 2 minutes of this. I'm not going to take 2 minutes, but I'll just be right back. And then I'm going to jump over to the Rogan stuff. Then we're going to talk about what China is doing, making Trump have to be so hard on them. And I know I've touched on this little bits throughout this whole stream, but these clips from this Joe Rogan episode really bring it home.
Where does the administration stand on its consideration of travel bans at this point? And then following up on the previous question, can you guarantee that migrants who are held in detention facilities have access to legal counsel as you're enacting these immigration policies?
Well, on the first point, it's still under consideration. We'll have an update when we have an update. And on the second point, illegal aliens will be given access to exactly what they're entitled to under current laws and court rulings, no more and no less. Obviously, it's this administration's view that illegal aliens should be able to be deported swiftly and quickly, and it should be as simple as, are you lawfully in the United States? No. If you are not, then you should go home. Like, in a sane country, that would be the system. If you know that a person trespass illegally in your property, you send them out of your property that quickly. Now, there are a lot of court rulings and other systems that have been put into place that slow things down, but we're going to move as fast as we possibly can to get illegal aliens out of our country.
Mr.
Yes.
Regarding the raid in Colorado Springs this weekend, do you have the nationalities? Because, I mean, against TDA and MS-13, but do you know if there were Colombians around? They found a really popular drug in Colombia, which is called Tusi, the pink cocaine. Do you know if there were Colombians?
It's a great question. I don't have the nationalities available for you right now.
Are you pleased with
The number of Africans involved in all of this is a lot or there is no Africans?
With respect to which question?
The deportation of illegal people.
Well, I mean, it includes everyone who came illegally in the last
But
number
in
of years.
terms of percentage, is a lot of Africans? Or
I don't have the exact percentage in terms of the breakdown, but it's certainly true that the flows of illegal immigration that came in the last 4 years included many from not only Central America, not only Mexico, but all of Latin America, and of course Africa, Asia, Middle East, basically everywhere but Antarctica.
It seems like that woman was trying to like position. She was trying to like make a story. Like, were there a lot of black people deported? We're just going with a racism angle. Were there enough? How many? Can you give me a percentage? She's just going to write a story. Donald Trump deporting black people. And then people are going to spin it. You know he's deporting people from Chicago. He's supporting people from the hood. You didn't hear about that? Oh, man, they said Africans. Then MSNBC's like African Americans. Then CNN's like, people from Chicago born on American soil. The crime being black. That's how they spin it on you, man. That is how they spin it on you. Don't let them do it. Somebody, what are you saying, Daisy? My teen told me a story yesterday that they deported a baby. They're deporting babies. Oh my God. And I had no idea about this story. That's what it is. They're not deporting babies. They're not deporting kids. They're deporting the parents who have been there illegally. Sometimes it's just the father. But a wife looks and says, okay, well, then we all have to go. What can we do? We all got to go back to Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. Well, like, what can you do? The kids, because they're actually Americans, they're actually citizens, they'll be able to go back when they're of age. Maybe when they want to go back to school or something, like, they'll be able to do it. And when I say school, I mean like college, university. They'll be able to do it. But the parents have to take their kids. But this is how they spin it. They're constantly spinning things like this. It's wild. It's very interesting that you're allowed to do that to a president. That you're just allowed to do that. I guess it's that Smith-Mund Act where they just allow you to just make up stories to the American citizens. I guess that's what it is, but it's mind-boggling to me, quite honestly. All right, let's move on to the JRE stuff here. Actually, I do have to pull up